Hello everyone, and welcome to Wisdom and Wealth, a channel dedicated to helping you navigate life's complexities with clarity, wisdom, and practical advice. We understand that as you journey through life, especially after 40, the questions you ask and the perspectives you seek change. Today, we're diving into a fascinating and profound topic: why we create religion, exploring Buddhism's unique path beyond belief. Religion. It's a word that evokes a wide range of emotions and responses. For some, it's a source of immense peace and comfort. For others, it can trigger fear or doubt. Some find answers within its frameworks, while others are left with more questions than they started with. Why does this single concept hold such power over the human experience? What is it about religion that has captivated and influenced cultures across the globe for millennia? That's what we will be exploring today. If you are enjoying this video, please consider liking or subscribing to the channel. Your support helps us create more content like this for people just like you. From the earliest human civilizations dwelling in ancient caves to the sprawling metropolises of the modern world, the human spirit has consistently sought something beyond the tangible, the visible, and the immediately graspable. This inherent curiosity begs the question: what drives this universal need to seek meaning beyond our everyday existence? And perhaps even more importantly, what if the Buddha, through his profound insights, uncovered a path that transcends the traditional boundaries of religion altogether? What if he discovered a way of understanding that doesn't require you to blindly accept doctrines but simply encourages you to see clearly, to observe reality as it is? We aren't here to push any particular dogma. We simply want to present information so you can have clarity in your life. Today, we're not here to convert anyone or to push any particular belief system. Instead, we invite you to join us on an exploration of a fundamental human question: why do we create religion? We will also discuss how Buddhism offers a distinct approach, presenting itself not as another belief system, but as a method to understand your own mind, your own thoughts, and your own experiences. This video could be life-changing to people looking for answers to their questions. If you know someone who would benefit from it, please share this video with them. Let's start with Chapter 1, the religion, idea, and our brains need to believe. What exactly is religion? Try to pin it down with a precise definition, and you'll find it slipping away like water through your fingers. Is it about adherence to a set of gods? Is it about following a prescribed list of rules? Is it centered around sacred texts and scriptures? The truth is, religion is not a singular entity, a fixed object. It is, rather, a deeply human process, a response to the profound experience of being alive and to the awareness that we will inevitably face death. Religion fulfills a specific and important function for us. When life feels chaotic, confusing, or even meaningless, religion can provide a sense of order, purpose, and significance. It offers solace and comfort when we are gripped by fear or anxiety. It can help us confront the daunting reality of mortality, providing frameworks for understanding death and the mystery of suffering. In essence, religion often becomes our attempt to answer life's biggest and most challenging questions. Why are we here? What happens when we die? How should we live our lives in the meantime? William James, the renowned philosopher and psychologist, captured this sentiment perfectly when he stated, "Religion, whatever it is a man's total reaction upon life." It's the encompassing way in which we respond to the overwhelming experience of being human, with all its joys, sorrows, uncertainties, and possibilities. When this response is fueled by fear, attachment, and craving, it can lead to increased suffering and dissatisfaction. However, when it is guided by wisdom, compassion, and understanding, it can pave the way for genuine peace and fulfillment. It's about letting go of fear and recognizing patterns and using our gifts to lift others up. If you're finding value in this content, please hit that like button and subscribe for more insightful explorations. Now, let's consider something remarkable that science has uncovered: our brains are literally wired to believe. Through the long process of evolution, we've developed minds that constantly seek out patterns and connections, even when they may not actually exist. We see faces in the clouds, hear voices in the wind, and sometimes feel a sense of being watched when no one is present. This innate ability to discern patterns served a crucial survival function for our ancestors. It was far better to mistake a shadow for a tiger than to ignore a real threat altogether. However, this same brain pattern that helped us survive in the past also makes us naturally susceptible to creating and clinging to beliefs, especially those that offer comfort, security, or a sense of meaning in a world that often feels uncertain and unpredictable. We don't just want answers. In a very real sense, we need them. The inherent uncertainty of existence can be overwhelming, even unbearable, so we construct narratives, stories, and belief systems that attempt to explain everything. These stories include the existence of gods who control the world, the concept of souls that never die, and cosmic purposes that imbue our lives with significance. One of our deepest fears is the fear of death, the thought that we might simply vanish into nothingness. To cope with this fear, we create elaborate accounts of heavens, hells, and eternal souls, promising a continuation of existence beyond the realm of mortality. While Buddhism does incorporate the concept of rebirth, it does so with a critical distinction. It's not about reward or punishment meted out by some divine judge. Rather, it's a natural continuation based on our actions, intentions, and the momentum of our choices. Yet, the ultimate goal isn't to perpetuate this cycle of rebirth indefinitely, but to liberate ourselves from the entire process. That's nirvana, not a place you go to, but the cessation of clinging, attachment, and suffering. Our brains naturally lean toward belief, but the Buddha emphasized something entirely different, direct seeing, which is not believing in truth, but recognizing it. This reveals a profound aspect of the Buddhist path. It doesn't reject belief outright, but it encourages us to hold beliefs lightly, recognizing them as mental constructs rather than absolute realities. When we cease clinging to our mental constructions as fixed and unchangeable truths, we open up the space for genuine wisdom to emerge. The question then shifts from, "What should I believe?" to, "What can I see clearly right now?" Chapter 2, Faith, Community and the Edge of Blind Trust. Faith often feels deeply personal, a quiet knowing that you can't quite articulate but feel in your very being. Yet, humans are not solely individual believers. We are also creatures who believe together, and this collective aspect transforms the entire dynamic of faith. Much of what we believe does not stem from our direct, personal experience. It is transmitted to us through those around us, family traditions, cultural narratives, teachers we trust, and communities to which we belong. In religion, this shared system of beliefs becomes something sacred: the Christian Church, the Buddhist Sangha, the Islamic Ummah. These communities provide something incredibly powerful: the feeling that you are not alone in the universe, that others share your deepest values, hopes, and fears. Here's where the complexity arises: community can easily morph into conformity. The same innate need that draws us together can also exert pressure on us to fit in, to suppress our doubts, and to refrain from asking difficult questions. Psychologists have demonstrated that humans will go to extraordinary lengths to maintain their belonging within a group, sometimes even abandoning their own perceptions and intuitions. We will agree with obvious falsehoods if everyone else seems to concur. We will follow leaders into harmful actions if the pressure to conform is strong enough. Religion, as a collective force, can amplify this tendency significantly. In its most constructive form, a religious community becomes a vessel for shared growth, mutual support, and the collective pursuit of wisdom. It fosters an environment where individuals can explore their beliefs, challenge their assumptions, and support one another along the spiritual path. However, in its least constructive form, a religious community can exert pressure to conform, to obey without question, and to stifle critical thinking. When faith transitions from an open inquiry into a rigid certainty, it can justify terrible acts, persecution of outsiders, suppression of dissenting views, and even violence against those who hold different beliefs. The Buddha recognized this danger with remarkable clarity. In the famous Kalama Sutta, he offered advice that was radical for any religious teacher: do not go by reports, by legends, by traditions, by scripture, by logical conjecture, by inference, by analogies, by agreement through pondering, by probability, or by the thought, this contemplative is our teacher. But when you know for yourselves that these things are wholesome and blameless, that they lead to welfare and happiness, then accept them and live by them. This principle is known as ehipasiko, which translates to, come and see for yourself. It's an invitation to test teachings through your own direct experience, rather than simply accepting them because they sound appealing, because everyone else believes them, or because some authority figure declares them to be true. This is a revolutionary concept, a spiritual teacher urging his followers not to blindly accept his teachings, but to verify everything through their own practice and observation. The comfort of community can be seductive. It's far easier to feel secure within a group that claims to possess all the answers than to grapple with uncertainty and to maintain a spirit of inquiry. This is precisely the point at which healthy faith can tip over into dangerous fanaticism, when beliefs are held not as open explorations or working hypotheses, but as unshakable truths that divide the world into us versus them. If you're enjoying this video, please consider liking or subscribing to the channel. Your support helps us create more content like this for people just like you. Yet, the Buddha did not reject faith entirely. In Buddhism, saddha, often translated as faith, is actually confidence born of understanding. It's the trust that arises when your own experience begins to validate what you've heard or read. It's not about, believe first, and then you'll see, but rather, practice the path, observe the results, and allow understanding to grow naturally. True spiritual community requires a delicate equilibrium, providing support without stifling individuality, offering guidance without imposing dogma, and fostering a sense of belonging without demanding conformity. The strongest communities are those that encourage their members to think critically, question assumptions, and continue growing, fostering not a congregation of blind believers but a fellowship of sincere seekers, each walking their own unique path while supporting others on theirs. Chapter 3, Buddhism, a path beyond typical religion? There's a quietly radical aspect of Buddhism that becomes apparent upon closer examination. It doesn't arrive with grand pronouncements, promises of divine salvation, or threats of eternal damnation. Instead, it presents itself almost like a scientist's meticulous laboratory notes, careful observations about how the mind functions and what leads to suffering versus what cultivates peace. When the Buddha sat beneath the Bodhi tree 2,500 years ago, he wasn't attempting to establish a religion. He was simply investigating a fundamental question: why do we suffer? And more importantly, is there a way to live without being constantly ensnared in cycles of dissatisfaction, anxiety, and pain? His discoveries weren't based on divine revelation, ancient traditions, or philosophical conjecture. They arose from direct, sustained observation of his own mind and the patterns of human experience. He was, in essence, conducting experiments in consciousness, and his discoveries can be replicated by anyone willing to undertake the same careful investigation. Consider how different this is from most religions. While others center on a creator God and an immortal soul, the Buddha taught something remarkably different. There is no supreme deity to worship, appease, or fear. And one of his core insights is anatta, no self, the recognition that what we perceive as our fixed identity or eternal soul is actually an illusion. This doesn't imply that you don't exist. It means that what you call I is not a single, solid, unchanging thing. It's more akin to a river, a flowing collection of changing thoughts, emotions, sensations, memories, and perceptions. When we cling to this flow and treat it as a permanent, separate self, we create suffering. When we observe this mind-body process with clear awareness, without clinging or rejecting, something remarkable unfolds. We begin to taste genuine freedom. The Buddha's approach was profoundly practical and experimental. He didn't ask people to have blind faith in his enlightenment. He demonstrated a systematic method for them to investigate their own minds and discover their own liberation. The Noble Eightfold Path isn't a list of beliefs to passively accept, it's a set of practices to actively engage with. These aren't moral commandments handed down from above, they're more like a doctor's prescription based on a careful diagnosis. If you're suffering from the disease of mental confusion and emotional reactivity, here's the treatment plan. Try it yourself and see if it works. As Joseph Campbell observed, the Buddha is not a savior, he's a teacher. He shows you the path. No promises of magical rescue, no requirements to worship or surrender your intelligence. Just a clear methodology: pay attention to how your mind works, understand the causes of suffering, and learn to live with wisdom and compassion. What fundamentally distinguishes this from typical religion is its emphasis on direct experience over doctrine, investigation over acceptance, and personal verification over institutional authority. In many traditions, you're asked to believe first. If you are enjoying this video, please consider liking or subscribing to the channel. Your support helps us create more content like this for people just like you. In the Buddha's approach, you're invited to practice first, to meditate, to observe your thoughts and reactions, to cultivate kindness, and to allow understanding to arise naturally from your own experience. The Buddha's Dharma presents itself not as another belief system demanding allegiance, but as a practical methodology for inner transformation. Like a skilled scientist of consciousness, the Buddha documented his discoveries about the nature of suffering and freedom, then invited others to replicate his experiments in the laboratory of their own lives. Chapter 4: The Real Goal: Transformation, Not Just Belief. Many people assume that religion is primarily about belief, which means accepting certain ideas, following prescribed rituals, and hoping for rewards in an afterlife. But if we delve deeper, especially through the lens of the Buddha's teachings, we discover that the real purpose is not simply believing something, but becoming something fundamentally different. Not better in a worldly sense of achieving success or status, but genuinely free from the inner patterns that generate suffering. The ultimate aim isn't what you believe, but who you become and how you live your life. It's an inner revolution, a fundamental shift from being unconsciously driven by reactive patterns to embodying wisdom, compassion, and genuine peace. This transformation is both the path and the destination. This change begins with an honest recognition of what Buddhism refers to as the three poisons: lobha, greed, dosa, hatred, and moha, delusion. These aren't moral failings to feel guilty about, but natural patterns that arise in untrained minds. Greed isn't simply wanting money, it's the endless craving for experiences, recognition, security, or anything we believe will complete us. Hatred isn't just anger, it's any form of pushing away what we don't want, including subtle irritation or judgment. Delusion isn't simply being wrong about facts, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of how life actually works, believing that happiness comes from getting what we want and avoiding what we don't want. But transformation goes far beyond simply recognizing these patterns. It involves actively cultivating their opposites: generosity instead of grasping, loving kindness instead of hostility, and wisdom instead of confusion. This isn't about suppressing natural human reactions, but about understanding them so clearly that you're no longer unconsciously controlled by them. This inner change follows a clear progression that the Buddha meticulously mapped out. First comes ethical action, sila, which is not following rules out of fear, but living in ways that don't harm yourself or others. This creates the stable foundation needed for deeper work. Next comes mental cultivation, samadhi, training the mind to be steady, concentrated, and clear through meditation and mindfulness practices. Finally comes wisdom, panna, direct insight into how things actually work, beyond concepts and beliefs. When someone genuinely begins to transform from the inside, you can feel it in their presence. They become naturally more patient, spontaneously kinder, and less reactive to stress and conflict. They speak with care and listen with real presence. Their peace isn't contingent on external circumstances going their way. This is the fruit of authentic transformation, not magical powers or supernatural experiences, but a mind that knows its own inherent peace. Here's something beautiful and unique about the Buddha's approach: even his own teachings are not meant to be clung to forever. He famously compared the Dharma to a raft essential for crossing the river of suffering to the shore of liberation, but to be let go of once you've reached the other side. My teaching is like a raft, he said, for crossing over, not for holding on to. This is profoundly different from systems that ask you to believe their doctrines forever. If you're finding value in this content, please hit that like button and subscribe for more insightful explorations. The Buddha's teachings are medicine for the disease of suffering. Once you're healthy, once you've developed genuine wisdom and compassion, you don't need to keep taking the medicine. You simply live from that health naturally and spontaneously. Spiritual transformation reveals itself as perhaps the most practical endeavor imaginable. It's not about becoming someone else entirely, but about removing the layers of conditioning, fear, and confusion that obscure who you truly are underneath all the mental noise. The goal isn't perfection in some idealized sense, but authenticity, the courage and clarity to live from your deepest wisdom rather than your surface fears and reactive patterns. Chapter 5: Living the Path, Spirituality in Daily Life. When people hear the word enlightenment, they often envision something far away, something only for monks or saints, after years of deep meditation. But the Buddha's teaching isn't about escaping from the world. It's about how we live right here, in this messy, ordinary, beautiful life. You don't need a temple, a robe, or a quiet forest to walk the path. You just need to pay attention to how you speak, how you think, how you respond. This is where real practice begins, in the middle of traffic, during a hard conversation, while washing dishes or waiting in line. Living the Dharma means bringing awareness and care into each moment. It's about being present when you make your morning coffee. Feeling the warmth of the cup. Noticing your breath before answering someone in anger. Returning to stillness even when life feels chaotic. We often think spirituality is something extra, something we need to add to our already busy lives. But the Buddha didn't give us more things to do. He offered a way to be. A way to meet life with clarity, kindness, and courage. You don't need perfect conditions. The path isn't found somewhere else, it's right under your feet. When you pause instead of react. When you listen instead of interrupt. When you choose compassion over judgment, even for yourself, that's the path in action. Nirvana isn't a future reward. It's a different way of seeing, of being. A mind that's not always grasping or resisting, but open, steady, and free. Even for a moment, touching that space changes everything. This path doesn't require you to be perfect. It only asks you to return again and again to what's real. One breath. One step. One small act of patience. That's all it takes to begin. As the Dhammapada says, mind is the forerunner of all things. If you speak or act with a pure mind, happiness follows you like a shadow that never leaves. The quality of your mind shapes the quality of your life. Let your life itself become your temple. Let each ordinary moment become a chance to wake up. You don't need more time or more knowledge, just a little more presence, a little more love, and the courage to start with what's right here. The path is not far. It's in your next breath.